Show starts right now.
Smith Show here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Powered Nitro plus premium gasoline. It's my honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line. I was going to say to y'all, let's get more into Klay Thompson and his dad, Michael Thompson, brought to you by Indeed, used by over 3 million businesses for hiring. Post a job today at Indeed.com/hire. On the line with us right now, again, you heard his name. You know he's the father of Klay Thompson, but he was a champion as a player with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's a radio host at ESPN LA. He's my buddy, but also a highly opinionated and provocative and informed boxing fan, evidently. I'm talking about the one and only Michael Thompson, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. What's going on, man? How you doing? How's everything?
I've never been so intimidated in all my life. I played against Kareem, Bob Lanier. I played against Artis Gilmore. I played against Patrick Ewing, but I've never faced Stephen A. Smith one-on-one. So if I sound a little intimidated here, America, forgive me because this is a whole new level.
Oh, please. I'm the one that needs to be intimidated going up against you. I know who I'm dealing with here. Before I even get into the basketball stuff with you, I couldn't believe, months ago, even a couple of years ago, when you and I were debating boxing and you was talking so much about the sport of boxing. Evidently, you got a problem with people like myself who heard what Deontay Wilder said about wanting to kill Dominic Breazeale this Saturday night at the Barclays Center. Clearly, we don't condone that level of hyperbole. But I didn't think it was a big deal at all, Michael Thompson. Why did you?
First of all, I am a big Wilder fan. I love to watch him fight, but he went too far in this one. It's any diss word you want to put in there. Disgraceful, distasteful, disrespectful, disgusting, and discouraging, especially to the casual boxing fan who already may think, Stephen A., that boxing is a barbaric sport. And to hear those comments come from the champion who is supposed to set the example of being a sportsman and the ambassador of the sport. It's an ignorant statement. It's stupid. Ali and Frazier, Stephen A. Smith, maybe you're too young to remember, the greatest rivalry in the history of sports, and not just in boxing, but in all sports. Those two hated each other, and they never stooped to this low level, this lowest level of trash talk. And
hold on, Michael. Didn't Ali call Joe Frazier a gorilla? And didn't he get a gorilla and put... I'm just saying, didn't he do that? Yes,
he insulted him, and obviously you can't do that today. That's an insult. He called Joe Frazier an Uncle Tom, insulting.
That's right.
Joe Frazier was very upset about that, but he never talked about, I want to kill Joe Frazier in the ring. You can't compare the two, Stephen A. Smith.
Well, I'm not comparing it, Michael Thompson, but what I'm saying to you is this. Could it not be an engagement in hyperbole? We're not condoning it, but I'm just saying, boxers talk. He didn't talk about doing anything illegal. He talked about this right hand putting you to sleep and what have you, right?
Yeah, we've always heard boxers say, hey, I want to knock this guy out. I have never heard a boxer say, I want to have a death on my record. Have you ever heard a boxer say that, Stephen A. Smith?
No, I have not. I will concede.
How do you just so casually dismiss this? What, Stephen A. Smith? Let me ask you a question. If you stay in the hood, what if a defensive back said about a wide receiver? When I tackle this guy, I want to cripple him. I want to turn him into a quadriplegic. Would that be okay with you? Because that's in the moment of the game.
No. It would not be fair. It would not be good with me on a couple of reasons. Again, I'm not condoning it, just like I'm not condoning this now with Wilder. I wouldn't condone that. But also keep in mind that defensive back is hitting a defenseless receiver. When you get into the ring, that is a relatively barbaric sport. We do understand that the intent is to do bodily harm to one another. We do understand that the intent is to knock somebody out, and sometimes they engage in that level of hyperbole. We also know that factually, Deontay Wilder was actually correct because look, if you put this man to sleep and something ends up happening to him, God forbid, it's not like Deontay Wilder is going to get arrested or anything like that. As long as he does nothing illegal in the ring, we know that there's nothing going to happen. So he was actually telling the truth. I don't condone what he said, Michael Thompson. What I'm saying is, what the hell is the WBC doing talking about how we need to conduct an investigation? What the hell are you talking about? There's nothing to investigate. He said what he said. Mike Tyson once talked about hitting the tip of somebody's nose so he can push it up into their brain. Mike Tyson said this kind of stuff. So, why are we in an uproar about this? Why can't we just say it's wrong and leave it at that?
Because it's a big difference from saying, I want to push somebody's bone into their top of their head, or I want to knock some guy out, as opposed to I want to kill someone in the ring. I hope I have a body in the ring. How do you not see the difference?
To me, when you talk about hitting somebody's nose into their brain, I'm thinking death with that too, to be quite honest with you. I really, really am. But I understand your point. When you put it the way that you put it, I have to concede, Michael Thompson, that you're absolutely right to be appalled by it. As I said, the WBC and everybody else should sit up there and say, excuse me, what the hell are you doing? We have to rebuke such words that come out of your mouth. But I really don't believe that Deontay Wilder meant that. I think he wants to knock the guy out and embarrass him, and that's about it. Don't you think that this was a method for him to sell the fight? Don't you think that's what this was about?
This crossed the line. You can say, I want to destroy Dominic Breazeale. I want to knock him out. I want to make it so that he won't want to ever fight me again. I understand that. But to say, I hope I kill this guy, I don't see how America's not. And if I was the WBC, if I was the president of WBC, I would fine him. I wouldn't suspend him, but I would definitely heavily fine him for making such a stupid statement. And like I say, I'm a fan of Deontay Wilder, but in this instance, you cross the line when you say you want to kill your opponent, and you hope you do.
Okay.
What's wrong with you? Are you just losing your civility?
No, I'm not losing my civility. I just think that I was of the mindset, listen, I don't believe he really meant it. I think that he's trying to engage in hyperbole to sell the fight. And I think that
I think he means it, Stephen A. I think he means it because he said, even before Dominic Breazeale, I think he said he hopes to have a body in the ring. I think he said that like 6-8 months ago, before this fight.
I'm just saying, but I think in an effort to sell fights, him being a knockout artist, I think those are the kind of things that he thinks will ultimately lead to more sales for the fight. I don't believe that Deontay Wilder legitimately wants to kill a man in the ring. I think it was hyperbole. I think when it comes to the sport of boxing or pugilistic sports, you do have people sometimes. Listen, I was at Nurmagomedov's fight against Conor McGregor, and I believe if the referee wasn't there, Nurmagomedov would still be choking Conor McGregor. I think he truly wanted to kill that man. He didn't say it, but he was far more serious than I find Deontay Wilder to be. I tell you that much.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, we saw the intensity in that Nurmagomedov. I can't even say his name, the Conor McGregor fight. Of course, we saw the intensity and the hatred between them, but we've seen hatred between fighters before throughout the course of the history of the UFC and, of course, boxing. And I'm a boxing historian. I know more about boxing than Max Kellerman. I always tell him that, too, by the way. And I have never heard from the time I was a little boy in the Bahamas, a champion say, I hope I kill my opponent. I've never heard that.
Got you. Michael Thompson, I'm going to defer to you, my brother. Michael Thompson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Well, who do you have winning this fight with all of that being said?
Well, the only chance Breazeale has, he's got to stay on the outside and outbox Wilder. Wilder definitely epitomizes his name or represents his name. He gets wild. He gets amateurish. His punches come in wild and crazy and out of control.
Yep.
If Breazeale can come straight down the middle with his jab and his straight right, he could catch Deontay, because Deontay has been caught before. He almost lost to Luis Ortiz. He was out on his feet, basically. So Deontay can be caught because he's not technically sound. He punches hard, but those punches come from wide angles. So if you go straight down the middle, you can catch him.
The only worthy opponent I've seen Breazeale go against was Anthony Joshua, and he lost that fight. So I've got concerns about whether or not he's got the skill set to beat a Deontay Wilder. Are you concerned about that?
No, I think he's a good boxer. He's a little, he doesn't punch as hard as Anthony Joshua. And, you learn from your defeat. And he said he learned. He did what he did wrong against Joshua. He did go 7 hard rounds with Joshua, who I believe is the best heavyweight of all the 3 major guys. And by the way, boxing, the other day, Max Kellerman said the heavyweight division is alive and exciting. No, it's not. These knuckleheads don't want to fight each other. Imagine you too young to remember Stephen A. Smith, but in the 70s, when I was your age, in the 50 years old back then, I remember guys like Ali, Frazier, Foreman, Kenny Norton, all fighting each other.
Excuse me. You can't get these guys in the ring. Hold on, Michael Thompson. I'm going to have to check you now. I kind of know my boxing. Now, I don't sit up there and bloviate about it, but excuse me, I remember the days of Ron Lyle. I remember the days of Ernie Shavers. I remember the days of Ali and Frazier and all of these boys. I remember Sonny Liston. I mean, I was 2 years old when he had that second fight against Ali for crying out loud. I remember all of these guys. I grew up loving Larry Holmes. I remember Larry Holmes against Earl Weaver. I remember Larry Holmes against Jerry Cooney and all of these boys. I remember Ali and Spinks and all of this other stuff. I know my boxing now, but I guess what I'm saying to you is this. And if Wilder wins this fight, who do you think he should fight next? Should it be Tyson Fury? Should it be Anthony Joshua? And if he fought Anthony Joshua, who would you pick?
Oh, I'd go Joshua. I think Joshua's the best heavyweight, and he should fight Joshua next. You know why? You know what else I'm hoping to? I hope Breazeale wins, because these knuckleheads keep avoiding each other, not fighting while the fire is hot. What are they going to do, wait 5 years like he had to wait for Manny and Floyd to finally get in the ring? So Deontay's 33. He's going to fight Joshua when he's 38? I don't get these guys in the ring, so I kind of hope either Joshua or him loses just to disrupt and upset the whole apple cart, because these guys are delaying getting in the ring facing each other, and one of these guys are going to get upset along the way and cost themselves about $50 to $70 million because they keep delaying these fights. What is wrong with you? You got all that. You got the power of the platform, Stephen A. Call these brothers out and make them get in the ring and face each other.
I can't call the brothers out, Michael Thompson, because it's not their fault. It's the promoter's fault. They won't make the fights.
Don't give me that. It's the fight. When you are the fighter, you are the boss. You tell your promoter, you stopping me from making $50 million? Are you crazy? Listen. Against this guy.
So many of these fighters are not, they don't control their own destiny, which is something that Floyd Money Mayweather complained about religiously. Listen, Errol Spence Jr. wanted Manny Pacquiao, but he's getting ready to fight Keith Thurman, okay? Why? That's the promoters that make that fight. We all know that we want to see Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford, but Al Heyman and Bob Arum can't get on the same page. You can't put that on the fighters, Michael Thompson.
Oh, yeah,
they don't have any representation. You know how this goes.
I put it on the fighter. If I was Errol Spence, I'm telling Al Heyman, you want me to fight Sean Porter for $2 million when I could go fight Terrence Crawford for $20 million? Are you nuts? I don't want to fight Porter. You make this fight with Terrence Crawford. I don't want to fight for $2 when I can make $20. What is wrong with you, Stephen? I thought you were a businessman.
I am a businessman, but I'm telling you that it's not about that. It's about their lack of control, because they may not necessarily have the business acumen of a Stephen A. Smith or a Michael Thompson. They might count the dollars, but in the same breath, they're thinking about how the promoters have control. They're getting about a third of their money, their purse, and what have you. And there's a level of control that they just don't have. They don't have representation. You've got guys like Roy Jones Jr. and others who've gone on Capitol Hill complaining about the lack of supervision over the sport and how they're at the mercy of promoters, for crying out loud. And still, after all of these years, nobody has done anything about it, Michael Thompson. What are they supposed to do?
Well, how in the world did we ever get Tommy Hearns or Sugar Ray Leonard to fight each other? They had different promoters. How did that ever work out? How did Tommy Hearns and
because the promoters are willing to work together. Because the promoters are willing to work together to make it happen.
No, because if you're a man and you're a fighter, you tell your promoter, I don't want to fight that guy. I'll give up my belt. I don't care. What does this belt mean to me if I'm making $2 million a fight when I can make $60 million over the next 2 fights if I give up my belt and go fight this guy? What is wrong with you, Stephen A? Why don't you see it my way?
I do see it your way in terms of what, from an altruistic perspective, in terms of what we want to happen. I'm just saying that every time you turn around to these fighters, they're at the mercy of their promoters. That's all you ever hear, which is, yes.
You think if, I don't know, Ali, Frazier, Foreman, those guys were fighting today under different promoters, they wouldn't face each other? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you talk to, you remember the stories about Ali and his dealings with Don King. You've heard the same from Larry Holmes and others, and you've heard on many occasions how they found themselves in unfair and unwanted predicaments because they were at the mercy of the promoters. So even back then, the promoters had some degree of control. Even when you saw those fights, you didn't always see them when you wanted to see them, Michael Thompson. That can't be escaped.
No. I remember Larry Holmes. Remember Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney?
Yes. Of
Remember
course
that?
I do.
That was a fight that we had to see, and they made it happen. Wilder Joshua is the hottest fight that could be made in boxing. And for these guys to be delaying it for another 2-3 years, who knows if it'll happen? That's inexcusable for us boxing fans.
I agree with that. Michael Thompson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. While I have you on the phone, let's face reality. As much as you know about boxing, your expertise is really in basketball. You're a champion for the Los Angeles Lakers in basketball. And obviously your son is a 3-time champion for the Golden State Warriors. What did you think about what you saw from last night's game? Watching it, what should we peel most from Golden State's victory last night over the Portland Trailblazers in Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals?
Very gutsy win by the Warriors to pull that out after falling down 17 to a Blazer team that was desperate and hungry for a win. Now they got to go. So I was very pleased to see them come back and fight back and show the championship heart that they have. But when they go to Portland for these next two, now that they know they won't have Kevin Durant, they got to go up there and show what championship medal is all about again, like they did in Game 6 down in Houston. And they got to come out and Saturday send a message to the Blazers. Keep the game close, because we know if that game is in single digits, either way, and close in the fourth quarter, I think the championship medal will come out again, because the Warriors have that experience. Portland will feel the pressure, knowing that they fall down 0-3. The series is basically over. So the key for the Warriors is Klay and Steph have to come out, get 60 to 70 points combined again to keep up with Damian and CJ in the Motor Center, because up there, them two boys are tough in that building. So the Warriors and that Warrior bench got to keep playing great too. That's been the secret of the last 4 games for the Warriors, is their bench play. Those guys have come through for them.
I'm interested in knowing from a father's perspective. Obviously, you're incredibly proud of your son, and you should be, because I think your son is one of the top 5 shooters I've ever seen in basketball. I think he's that great of a shooter, and he doesn't get the praise nearly as much as he deserves. I want to know how you personally, because sometimes parents they judge their children harder than the average Joe out there. As a former player in the NBA, a former champion in the NBA, who's now watched your son win 3 championships, and you see the greatness that he's displayed periodically throughout his career. How do you feel about your son, Klay Thompson, as a player?
Man, I can't say nothing about Klay. I can't say nothing to him. I can't criticize him. His career has lapped my career 10 times. It'd be like me going against Usain Bolt in 100. He could run backwards and beat me twice before I reached the finish line. Klay has been a multiple-time All-Star, 2-time gold medal winner in the World Championships and the Olympic Games, 3-time champion, 5-time All-Star. Like you said, one of the greatest shooters ever, and he's still in his prime. So what could I possibly say to Klay Thompson that he hasn't been through and has already done? So he's got the great coaching. I just tell him, just stay hungry. That's the only advice I could give him, because his career has passed mine 10 times over.
Well, the reason why I'm accusing you of being diplomatic here is because you can say whatever the hell you want, because you're his daddy. So daddy always has power over, with their children, for crying out loud. And even when there's nothing to say, dads usually find something to say. How come you don't?
Because he's accomplished so much, and he's an intelligent young man, very introspective on the court and off the court. And the only advice I give him is just respect the game and stay hungry and stay humble. If he follows that advice, he'll continue to be successful throughout the rest of his career and into his post-career. So that's the only advice I can give him, man. Stay humble, stay hungry, and just keep respecting and what God has blessed you with, and do not ever take it for granted, because it ain't going to last forever.
What advice do you give him about impending free agency? Because we've talked about Kevin Durant, we've talked about Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, et cetera, et cetera. Your son is about to be a free agent as well, even though everybody and their mother believes he's staying in Golden State. And I'm not asking you to go there. That's your business. But what I am asking you is, what advice do you give him about the impending free agency?
Any advice any father or mother would give to their child in any place of employment: if you are happy with where you are at, if you are comfortable and this is where you want to be, and just stay right where you are. There's no reason to go looking for anything else if you are happy and content of where you all already are at, which he definitely is. He loves the Bay Area, loves playing for the Warriors, loves their fans. You've been up there, so you know how great it is up there. It's the second greatest franchise that he could ever play for. So I tell him to stay right where he is if he's happy.
My last question to you involves the Los Angeles Lakers. You're a radio host in L.A. You obviously call games with John Ireland. You see the Lakers. You know the Lakers intimately better than most people on the planet, calling their games on a daily basis. Magic Johnson abruptly stepped away. We don't know whether it's Jeannie Buss, Linda Rambis, Kurt Rambis, Rob Pelinka, who's running what, whatever the case may be. Magic Johnson is making an exclusive appearance on First Take on ESPN this Monday with yours truly, along with Max Kellerman and Molly Karam. Tell me what your thoughts have been about what you've seen from the Los Angeles Lakers over the last couple of months.
Very disappointed to see Magic leave so abruptly, of course. It was great to have him be a part of the everyday operations for the Lakers. But in the meantime, now we have to move on. I think the Lakers are in a good place. We've got a lot of money to spend on a particular free agent, whoever they may be. We still got LeBron James. And if they want to continue to do it organically, they've drafted well over the last several years. They've got a number 4 pick coming up. So if they just want to be patient here in Lakerland, the Lakers are going to gradually work their way back into the title picture. It might take a little longer than we hoped, but with the young core players that they have, LeBron James, a top 4 pick, I think things are going to be fine. And next year, given good health, I think the Lakers will be a playoff team. No, we won't be a championship contender or the favorite to win the championship, but we will be a playoff team next year, a serious playoff team. If we can just keep everybody healthy, LeBron can continue to keep being LeBron. And if we sign a big-time free agent this summer, which is very possible.
Are you scared that you're going to end up empty-handed in free agency as the Lakers organization?
Of course, we got $30-something million to spend. I hope they can find someone to take their money. I would hate to see someone turn that down, whoever that might be. So yeah, because we know if we could add a top-level free agent to this core players we have and to LeBron James, the Lakers will be back. So it's imperative that we sign somebody this summer. That will get us back on the playoff track faster than if we had to wait another year.
Last question to you. Tell me about this podcast you and your son have. Klay Thompson, y'all got a podcast together when y'all been doing this? Talk to me about that.
Podcast? Who said that? Klay ain't going to do a podcast, man.
I was just wondering. I was making sure. It's Klay and Michael. I mean, I like that. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss something.
No. When Klay gets away from Oracle Arena, when he's away from practice, he just wants to go home, veg out with Rocco, his dog. He ain't got time to be doing no extra work.
All right. I was just making sure because I read something at the top of the show. I was making sure it was some podcast, something that I wasn't missing because I definitely would tune into that. Michael Thompson, I appreciate you, man. And by the way, I'll modify my position to some degree. I'm not condoning trying to kill somebody in the ring. I just think it was hyperbole and he didn't mean it and it's boxing and that's what comes with it. That's all I was trying to say.
No. But see, the thing about Deontay, he always says he means what he says. Doesn't he? That he always says that.
Yeah, but do you really believe
that? There you
that?
go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Deontay's proven before that he goes out and destroys people. He backs it up. And for him to say, hey, I mean this. I'm not kidding around. This ain't a joking game. You got to take him seriously, Stephen A. So quit dismissing it.
I got you. I understand. I appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for joining the show, buddy. I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Anytime you need more boxing and basketball advice or education, call me, buddy.
You got it, buddy. You got it. You got it, my man. The one and only Michael Thompson right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. That is always the number to call up. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. You know what time it is. Got to get back to your calls and more in just a minute. Right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio. By the way, I'm here to tell you about Zelle. A quick and easy way to send and receive money right from your banking app. Not sure what to get someone for their birthday, graduation, or housewarming? Send them money with Zelle, a truly one-size-fits-all present so they can buy whatever they want. The money goes directly into their bank account, typically within minutes if they're already enrolled with Zelle, so they don't have to wait long to spend it on a perfect gift for themselves. Look for Zelle in your banking app or get more information at ZellePay.com. Terms and conditions apply.